in Lambeau Field, and there is again Julian Edelman warming up for the New England Patriots as the NFL Network staff members, some of the best that we have out there in the field, and then some of the best that we have is also standing by for the late games. And then for tonight's game, it's Week 17 is the only week on the schedule where all the games are played in one single day. Let's start with Mike Giardi in Gillette Stadium for this big one for the Patriots. Mike?
Thank you, Rich. Tom Brady wants his teammates to know the time is now. Brady rarely speaks to the team as a group, but did so last week prior to the Bills game. And the message was pretty simple. He said, all year long, we have to make sacrifices, not just here with the football team, but in our personal lives with family and friends. Now you have to put that aside and you have to focus on this because we have a real opportunity to do something here, to have success. And Brady says it's really important for him to get that message across to the younger guys who haven't been through this before. He says, as an old guy, you know you can't get these days back. Tom Brady playing for now, playing for January, and maybe for February. Rich, back to you.
Well, and usually for them to play in February, they need a bye week. That's the way it's always been. They have not won the Super Bowl from a wild card weekend position yet, and it doesn't look like they're going to have to this year either. Rich Eisen, Steve Mariucci, Kurt Warner, Michael Irvin, we are 1 hour away from the final regular season week of this NFL 100 season that has been nothing short of dramatic on the field from our NFL 100 all-time series that wrapped up on Friday night. As you could see, Eric Stonestreet, David Keckner, Rob Riggle, three funny guys raising money for a children's hospital in Kansas City, going to be joining us from Kansas City in this hour that kicks off with you, Steve Mariucci, and your thoughts on the topic bar that's at the bottom of the screen, which is the Patriots hitting their stride entering the postseason.
I like that. Hitting their stride. That's what they're doing right now, because after they lost 2 games in a row, week 13 and 14, to the Chiefs in Houston, in one-possession games, you know, they've been winning. Of course, they beat Cincinnati, big deal. But that game against Buffalo, Tom Brady looked like he was back. And, you know, this team peaks at the end in January, and so I think they're ready to go. Tom Brady was 111 passer rating. It wasn't like that during this long stretch that they had where we started thinking about, oh, maybe this is not their year. But you know what? They win today. They're at home. They're at home again. And if they have to play these teams with athletic quarterbacks, they're going to have a different game plan. We know that Bill Belichick will come up with something completely different, and in a one-game playoff, they can beat anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to say that when you look at them this year and they're hitting their stride. They played their best game of the year, especially offensively last week. Played well against Cincinnati the week before. I just think their stride is different this year. I continue to worry about this team because you get in those big moments, and who is that guy that you can count on to make that big play? Now, there's one. Julian Edelman, without question, is a big playmaker for this team. But you don't have that Gronk. And last year we saw, even though they were a different team and not a really explosive team, when they needed that one big play, when teams were going to blitz them and they got man-to-man, they had Gronk out there that they could throw it up to, and he could make that big game-changing play like he did in the Super Bowl. Needed one play, he made it. So their stride's a little bit different. They're going to have to play more perfect this year, I believe, to get through the AFC and get to the Super Bowl than they have in the past. But the good thing is, Mooch said, they're playing their best football of the year, specifically offensively, these last couple weeks.
So when we say hitting their stride, because when you are great, as they've been so long, we measure your stride up against the history of your stride. And they were much better. They've been much better offense. So I won't say they're hitting their stride like the 07 teams and all that. That's a hell of a stride to hit. But they are hitting a stride. They are hitting a stride where they put 24 points up the last couple games, and they didn't do that in the 5 previous games before that. They are hitting a stride. And I thought this was telling, too, guys, that Tom Brady's now talking to the team. Because when you think about it, the regular season, we're going to judge him more because we're judging numbers. Postseason, we're just judging results. That's all that matters. Mm-hmm. So all he's talking now is, all of that, I don't have to worry about hearing my name. People won't be. We're just talking results when we get to the postseason, and I think that's where he wants to be.
Speaking of that 07 team, it's the 12-year anniversary of the night the 07 team went 16-0. When we were hanging out. We were hanging out in the old Giants Stadium, which is in the parking lot of where Kim Jones is hanging out right now, MetLife Stadium, where we will go checking on her report shortly. But right now, let's take a look at the reason why the Eagles are in a win-and-in position in that building.
This our season right here, man. Now is our time. Ain't no going back. Give yourself a team play with so much swagger and everyone in the stadium can feel it.
Wentz fires, touchdown! Birds 10, Cowboys.
Running game's just going nowhere tonight.
Goes to Sanders, he's in!
Miles Sanders doing a little bit of everything.
They've got him back at the 46! It is 4th down. Can the Eagles stop them here? Prescott firing deep, and it is incomplete!
Dak Prescott was not at his best.
We all expected to leave here as NFC's champs. It's very disappointing.
Yep, Eagles win in MetLife. They win the NFC East as a 9-7 team. If they lose and the Cowboys win, then we have the first 8-8 winner in the history of the NFC East.
8-8.
So now let's go to Kim Jones in MetLife Stadium. Kim, take it away.
Rich, thanks so much. And while I'm at it, thank you, Rich, and all the guys back there and folks back there in Culver for a great regular season. The Philadelphia Eagles, of course, hoping to end this regular season as NFC East champions. I talked to Fletcher Cox, the terrific defensive tackle for the Eagles, in his 8th season, and I asked him what a division title would mean to this edition of Eagles. He said it means so much to this group. We've had tough losses, so many injuries, but Fletcher Cox added, we've stayed together. Now let's send it to Dallas and check in with Jane Slater.
Thanks, Kim. Well, consistency is the one thing that Dak Prescott can put his finger on when it comes to trying to figure out what's wrong with this team this year. Their inability to string together wins these last 2 weeks has now put them in a situation where not only do they have to win today, but of course they need the Giants to beat the Eagles to get to the postseason. Dak Prescott will once again be dealing with that throwing shoulder that's got a sprained AC joint. And this week, the training regimen was about the same as it was ahead of the Eagles game, except he didn't get any throwing in on Friday. He says it's getting better, but of course it is still sore. And as for what they're going to be watching the scoreboard, well, Jason Witten said he's got too much respect for this game to approach it that way. Rich?
And that's what makes this question we're about to ask somewhat difficult here because, you know, this does call into question, I guess, some professionalism and respect for the game when you look at a Cowboys team, however, that lost 2 in a row and then they go to the New York Jets and you're like, well, they're going to respond. They lose. Right. They lose in New England in a short week, Thanksgiving game. Their coach's job is on the line. They can't lose short week. The Buffalo Bills in front of the whole country. They lose. And then you think, well, then a week later, they're in Chicago. They need to win this game. They lose. The number of times that you're just like, well, here it comes. Here comes the turnaround. There's been no pivot. There's been no pivot. Mm-hmm. So I ask you, Irv, will the Cowboys show up today after the loss to the Eagles last week?
And Jason Witten saying that they have too much respect for the game. Where was that respect last week when you pulled up in Philadelphia? I'd like for you to bring off some of that with you. It's hard for me to even sit and say, and I woke up this morning thinking, okay, you know, you want to jump on that bus. Okay, if this happens, that happens, just like a lot of teams are. But it's hard for me to say that this team will be able to put anything together consistently as far as making a run in the playoffs. And then honestly, you start thinking about, okay, maybe just let's go home and see what those draft picks look like as opposed to going to the playoffs and having to choose a little later. I'm concerned if you had all that you had on the line last week, all that you had on the line, and you put that type of performance on the field and not showing up, for me to say, oh, yeah, they'll show up today against the Redskins, that's just hard to see.
Yeah, I'm worried about them, but I mean, I'm going to say they're going to show up because what they've done all year, they show up against bad teams. I mean, they're 5-2 against teams that are under 500. You know, teams that they're supposed to beat because they're better across the board on paper, but they show up and win those games. And so I assume that they're going to find a way to win this football game, and it would only seem to be fitting, right, that the Eagles would lose and they would beat the Redskins, having not really beat anybody with a good record all year and sneak their way in. But, yeah, I think they show up today.
No, that would be nice, Kurt. What would be fitting to what they've done this season is the Eagles lose and then the Cowboys turn around and lose. Yeah. That would be fitting. It would be nice if it happens your way, though.
Yeah,
right?
that was a head scratcher.
I like that you said that. I like that.
Last week, for the number one offense that only scored 9 points when the playoffs are on the line, that was kind of like, I can't believe I'm watching this. But you know what? They're probably going to win today. They beat the Redskins already this year, 31-21. They'll do it again. They'll win at home, but I think it's going to be too little, too late because that Eagles team right now has got some other ideas.
Well, you know what's really fitting is that it was Jane Slater ascribed the quote of we're going to play and they're going to show up because they respect the game. She ascribed that to Jason Garrett, the current head coach, and you started your comments by ascribing it to Jason Witten, might be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Stop that, Rich. Will you stop? You started this yesterday giving me
I didn't start anything.
Will you cut that out?
I started nothing.
Coach Witt,
breaking news.
Coach Witt. He started that in meetings, giving me all. I couldn't even eat my lunch. Coach Witt, I love Coach Witt, man. I think he'll be great at whatever he does.
Coach, he's not Coach yet.
He's not Coach yet. Cowboys.
He's not Coach
yet. I'm pulling it forward for you. He'll be a great coach at Tennessee. At Tennessee, he'll be a great head coach. Great head coach.
By the way, the Cowboys could be in the playoffs by nightfall. That's entirely possible. And it's entirely possible that Zadarius Smith, who's been leading this defense with nobody really paying attention, and Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers, it's possible by sundown tonight or by the end of tonight, midnight tonight, the Packers could have home field throughout the entire NFC playoffs. They have to win in Detroit first, Stacey Dales.
They certainly do, and they understand that, Rich. But one of the things they have derived great confidence from is how complete they feel as a football team. Despite what everybody has said on the outside, this offense has found different ways to win. Special teams has been fantastic. Mason Crosby, he has only missed one field goal this season. And the defense that you allude to, Rich, with Zadarius Smith and company, they have the highest pressure rate in the National Football League. Devontae Adams told me this week, this is the most complete team that I have been a part of now in my 6th year as a Green Bay Packer. And oh, by the way, they have a young head coach named Matt LaFleur, who I am told by several coaches on the staff is prepared for every last detail. And lastly, Rich, I'll throw it back with this. I just talked to a team executive who told me we'll be rooting for Seattle tonight. Doesn't that sound a little weird? But we've got to take care of business here first.
Yeah, and this is the reason why they would, because if they win in Detroit, then a Seattle win on Sunday Night Football puts Green Bay in the 1 seed for the NFC playoffs.
That's huge.
If they lose in Detroit, then the Saints have a shot at the 1 seed if Seattle wins tonight. Seattle has to get both New Orleans and Green Bay to lose for them to have a 1 seed with a win tonight, or San Francisco just to say, hold my beer. Enjoy talking about all that. We got this. We're going to take it down tonight. So are the Packers being underestimated?
You know, I think they are, because you saw my low zone over there, right? If they get frozen tundra games, look out, man. You know, they came out to San Francisco or Santa Clara, Levi Stadium. They really got beat down by the Niners, 37-8. And watching that game, I think we all went, these are two teams that are on different levels. But since then, that was a wake-up call for the Green Bay. They've won 4 games since then in a row. They beat the Bears. They beat the Vikings. Those are tough physical rival games in their division. And now you're talking about a top 10 defense over there with the Smith brothers and all these guys. And anytime you have a top 10 defense, and that guy right there, Aaron, look out. That's a dangerous team, home or away.
So, again, the game tonight, as we just mentioned, who can be the 1 seed or not? San Francisco wins, they're the 1 seed. Seattle can be the 1 seed. And we hope that it lives up to the billing after what we saw in Week 10. Let's review that, not only to review that, but also to make sure Kurt can reposition himself for Warner's Corner coming out.
You want to win the West, you win this football game. Garoppolo going to throw a middle cut by dives into the end zone. Ball is out. Clowney goes the other way. He's in. Hollister reaches up with one hand as he's falling backwards. The handoff to Chris. He's in. Ball came out late, and it's a touchdown. So we're going to overtime. Allowed for Hollister. Intercepted. This to win the game. He shanked it left, and there's hope yet for the Seahawks. Wilson, he's got him right where he wants him. And that kick is good. What a game. The Seahawks win in overtime.
All right, time for Warner's Corner, presented by Taco Bell, in which we get to break down this game a little bit. And Coach, you gave Kyle Shanahan the Coach of the Year. You gave him your vote. He has done a tremendous job with this offense. They do so many things well within this offense.
He's so creative. Not just the pass game, but in the run game, they do it all. No doubt. And the screen game. And that screen game that we're going to talk about, Kurt, is great against the blitz, isn't it?
And they use everybody. And when their quarterback's not playing well, they've got ways to create. Here they got Deebo Samuel, right, coming across on the jet sweep. Then they fake the run. Now they're going to throw the screen back to Deebo Samuel. And the interesting thing about this is these are 3 straight pass plays in the game last week when their quarterback wasn't playing great. Okay, now we got a fullback back there. We're going to play a little play fake. Now we're going to drop it off to our fullback on a screen, right? Get those pass rushers coming up the field. And you're looking at these. These are big plays. It's not just 4 or 5 yards, big plays. Oh, we can't forget about that other guy in George Kittle, right? Now we're trying to take the other way. Oh, he's going to block. We're not leaving George Kittle in to block on a pass play. We're going to throw him a screen. And another big play. Does a great job of tying everything into the run game, attack the middle of the field with the play action, and then the screen game. So like what they're doing.
And they've got some great offensive linemen that can run and get out and do that.
They do. And the interesting thing is we talked about all the scenarios in Seattle with some of the injuries they have. I'm worried about them not being able to do the same sort of things. And it starts with this guy. We've talked about him. He picked up where Marshawn Lynch left off, and his physicality, right? We're breaking tackles. We're running through people. We're making big plays. That's where this all starts with this offense is we got to run downhill. Let's not forget about this guy, right? Dwayne Brown, the left tackle, is out. And, right, he only gave up 1 sack all year long, and you saw this last week. Time and time again, forcing Russell Wilson to get out of the pocket with their backups. But here, it's the linchpin. It's the X factor. We brought back just last year, right? Who is this guy going to be? Will he be the guy that was in Seattle? I don't know. But this was last year in Oakland. He can still do some of this. Give him the ball down. Now just jump on top. You can't even stop him when you jump on top of him.
Your beast mode, right?
Man, I mean, are we going to get that beast mode? Is really, to me, the big question on tonight's game.
Kurt, for a while. I know they're going to introduce the offense. The beast mode's going to come out last. That place is going to go bonkers for 3 hours, and we'll see how much gas he has in that tank. It's going to be so much fun.
So much at stake in front of the 12s. Marshawn Lynch, it's going to be awesome, Rich. Going to be awesome to finish the season that way.
You bet. Again, the 1 seed in the NFC on the line. Meanwhile, what about the 6 seed in the AFC? That's the only one that's up for grabs left in that conference. It's the Titans to win and get in if they can beat Houston today. And if they can't, then the Steelers will get into the playoffs with a win at the same time against the Baltimore Ravens, who, like the Texans, are starting their backup quarterback and a bunch of other backups indeed. Let's go to the bank right now in Baltimore, where the AFC playoffs will go through. Randy Moss in the rain. What's up, Randy?
Yeah, Rich, don't tell that backup quarterback Robert Griffin III that this rainy Week 17 game for the Ravens is insignificant, because for him, it's a huge opportunity. It's his first start in 3 years. He desperately wants to make a good showing because he really wants to be a full-time quarterback again in the NFL. But he says, it's not about me, it's about the team. Now, Griffin is a big fan also, who isn't, of Lamar Jackson and this offense, and he likes to point out that the Ravens offense is very similar to the one that he ran with the Redskins during his 2012 Offensive Rookie of the Year season. He says it's been cool watching it from the sidelines, but it'll be even cooler to be out on the field running it. Now to Tiffany Blackman in Houston.
Randy, I mentioned a little bit earlier, the Texans might be a little cautious today while keeping the playoffs in mind, so we may not see some of their starters like Deshaun Watson or their star receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, but keep an eye on another receiver in this game, Titans' A.J. Brown. He leads all rookies, closing in on 1,000 yards this season. And a few weeks ago when these two teams played each other, well, Brown had over 100 receiving yards on 8 catches, the most he's had all season, and a touchdown. Now, Texan safety Tashawn Gibson said he can take the top off a defense. It's a component of his game that people don't give him enough credit for. Rich?
All right, thanks very much. That's the report right there. Meanwhile, the Chiefs would clinch the 3 seed with a win today, and with a Patriot loss in conjunction with a win against the Los Angeles Chargers in Arrowhead, the Chiefs would get the bye week because they have beaten New England earlier this season. A win for the Chiefs that no doubt made our next guest joining us live from Kansas City extremely happy. 3 guys who love the Kansas City Chiefs, love to make us laugh, and love to raise money for Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City. That is Rob Riggle. That is Eric Stone Street and David Keckner. How are you, gentlemen?
We're great. Hello. How are you, Los Angeles?
We're warmer. We're warmer. Yeah. That's for darn sure. David, are you layered? I'm concerned about you in that jacket.
Thank you for your concern. And yes, I'm from here, so I am layered. I know how to do it.
Okay, very good. Eric, what happens today?
I am layered as well, Rich. But also, I just want to say thanks, Mom. I didn't come on here for this.
If we're talking about layers, I got layers on too, Rich.
Well,
have you ever been in the cold, Rich?
We're all layered up.
Have you ever been in the cold?
You're just layered with love, Rob. I know that. So, what happens today? What do you think happens today in that stadium, gentlemen? What happens today?
Oh,
it's going to be a Chiefs victory. Let's just start there and work back our way back.
Uh-oh. Look out. Hey, guys.
Sorry.
Hey, guys.
He just, there's
We're
really
trying-
no purpose to that.
Should he be warming up or something?
Why don't they tape this area off? We're here.
Yeah.
Why are the
VIP section?
Why are the players coming in here?
I don't understand it. They shouldn't be this close to the field.
I think it's a victory today, Rich. I think we wrap this up by halftime.
Okay, by halftime.
Rich Eisen, I see a real bruising game with the Chieftains coming out on top, Rich Eisen.
I go, old school. This is smash mouth football.
Yep.
Also, Chargers in cold weather. DOA, my friend.
Yeah, DOA. And then I think the scores of the other games are going to be broadcast in the stadium here, Rich. So we will be looking for those. Definitely some Chiefs reaction on those. And I think we could see potentially some players be pulled if say the Patriots are up by 20.
Well, that's Eric's subtle way of saying that we have been asked to suit up.
Yeah.
Halftime scores.
KC Wolf.
Halftime scores 21-0 Kansas City.
21-0. That's a great call.
Rob and David, I don't know if you know, Eric has since in the last couple of weeks been named a minority owner of the Kansas City Royals. What team do you guys plan on getting a piece of and when?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because you are looking at a future part owner of the Kansas City T-Bones.
Hey!
Wow.
They're out west of Wyandotte County.
I got T-Bone money. He's got Royals money. That's just how it works.
And, Rich, thanks for asking. I own a home in Valley Village, California. And we play sport there, too, Rich.
Okay.
We like sport.
My bad. That was an oversight on my part.
Guys, every year Rich Eisen does his 40-yard dash.
Yes.
I'm looking for the time that Rich Eisen plays the three of us. Eisen, it's an S, it's a C.
Yeah.
Plays the three of us in a scrimmage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We want it.
A football scrimmage.
Yep.
We should three of us, a Rich Eisen.
Yes, sir.
I want to raise money and do an old school Oklahoma drill. Me and Rich Eisen.
Yes. Yes. We want some of that.
I'll donate right
Why
now.
do you guys want to see that?
That would be good.
I don't understand.
Besides just your definitely get some checks.
All right, sure.
That will definitely get some checks.
I will do that. Well, look, anything obviously for kids, as you know, the 40-yard dash is something I do for St. Jude, and what you guys do along with Jason Sudeikis and Paul Rudd every single summer for Children's Mercy Hospital, Big Slick. I give you the floor on what it means for anybody to go to bigslickkc.org right now and donate. Have the floor, guys.
Thank you,
Absolutely. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, we need to bring 4 of your best. We'll bring 4 of our best.
Yeah, well, you're a big part of our family here, Rich, too. You've been so supportive over the years, allowing people to come there to the NFL Network and watch games with you guys as an auction package. We appreciate you. $10 million over 10 years we've raised. $60,000. These guys always do a tailgate here at Arrowhead. Clark Hunt, the Chiefs organization, always help us out. $60,000 this morning for Children's Mercy Hospital. Just here in Kansas City, these Chiefs fans, Kansas City fans are incredible. KC Wolf! KC Wolf! It's official! We would interview him, but he doesn't talk. It's on! But we love you, Rich, and we love your support. We love what you do for cancer and kids as well, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
We love your whole staff there, Rich Eisen.
I appreciate that.
Where's Chris? Does he show up to work today?
Well, guys, enjoy the game. Enjoy the game. Stay warm, and we'll be chatting soon. Thanks for the time, guys.
Mooch, you and I will always have me pulling you out of the car in Chicago to go do karaoke, baby.
Yeah, well, you made me karaoke with you guys.
That happened.
That was one of those. I'm trying to unremember that.
Just tell Rich about the strength that's coming out of the Stone Street when we do the Oklahoma drill.
I'll
brother.
do that. Yeah, I can't wait for this.
Oh, man.
Thanks, guys. That's Rob Reynolds.
I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that.
I would not. I don't want to be on any business end of that. Eric Stone Street and David Keckner, who's layered with love as well.
Take care, gang.
Thanks,
Joining
brother.
us live
How about
from
one?
Kansas City.
How about
I'm ready to
those?
write a check for that, Rich. I'm ready to write a check for that,
awesome.
Rich. I'm ready to write a check for that one, Rich, right now.
Got to put the chain on right
Better
now.
hold on to it.
You're going to need more than that chain, Rich.
That's
Your
the
last
trophy.
day with that thing.
That's the trophy I plan on winning.
Yeah,
Well, we're doing the Sunday night game. We're doing the whole enchilada. Okay, Irv, who do you have in this one?
Oh, my God. It's going to be a great game, man. You say what you will. I'm going to take San Fran to beat Seattle in Seattle this game.
Yeah, I'm taking San Fran too. You're getting healthy. I think they're the better team across the board. No George Kittle last time. I think
It's going to be a good game now. This Russell Wilson.
I'm going with San Fran.
Yeah, I'm taking the Niners as well. There are two new players in this game that are factors. Kittle is playing for the Niners. He didn't play last game. He's going to be huge. And you got Marshawn Lynch, and then that's the question mark. How long will he last, and how often will he carry the ball?
I am so happy about this. I am so happy about this because our entire competition might come down to this game, and I am absolutely unwavering going with the 12s. And the Seattle Seahawks, every time you think they are not going to win, they do. Marshawn Lynch is back.
Well,
one big run will set that place absolutely on fire. This is great. It comes down to a lone wolf. You're right, Rich. And my lone wolf is Seattle at night on national television. Marshawn Lynch coming
at
back.
Home.
We call that. You know what we call that? We call that an educated guess. What do you have over there, Michael? What do you have over there, sir, for your Cowboys and Redskins?
I want to say this. This Redskin colors I have on mean nothing, but they mean something. I'm going with Dallas winning this game today because we still got a little sliver of hope sitting right there.
There you go.
Just a little bit of chance right there.
Very little of that made sense, but we pick up your gist.
I'm going with Dallas, too. I mean, they just have to win.
I'm going with Dallas as well, and boy, they might just win this division and go to the playoffs. Eagles have a tough.
What do I have? What do I have? I've got something special. I've got something special. Can you put up the graphic right here? It's just my face. There you go. I'm choosing the Crying Michael Cowboy logo. Crying Michael Cowboy logo because they're going to win and still not make the playoffs. Yeah, that's my prediction. I just gave away my Eagles pick right here, didn't I? Who do you have, Michael? Do you got the Eagles winning?
Well, you know what? Listen now, we talked about this earlier. Kurt brought up a great point. That's why these division games are so great because teams in the division want to make you lose and miss out. And I say the Giants get a shot of that today. I'm taking the Giants, Rich.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the spark that the Giants had last week, too. I mean, offensively, I don't know if they can stop anybody defensively, but I like the way Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones played. I'm taking the Giants at home.
I thought
I'm not. I'm taking the Eagles. And you know what? Jim Schwartz's defense held the Cowboys to 9 points, and he's going to have a good plan against Daniel Jones and Saquon. I'm taking the Eagles, and they win the division.
I don't think the Eagles have come this far to lose at MetLife. I'm taking the Eagles. Sorry, Steve.
Got a nice height.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles. We're all over the map. I mean, this could go anywhere.
That's right. That's right. It's good TV.
That's all right. That's what we talk about.
I'm going to high-step this thing. I'm going to hold it up like Dion. Seriously, Sunday night won't mean anything. Oh, boy, 13 hours of live coverage of the aftermath is 7 hours of it. I'll be joining shortly after 3 Eastern time from the set of The Rich Eisen Show. Steve, you'll be one of my guests, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. And then you can I'll take your phone calls at that hour as well. Before that, 4 hours of NFL game day of Good Morning Football, and then 2 hours of NFL Total Access. Mike Garafolo is hanging out in New Jersey. Ian Rappaport in his undisclosed location of his bunker. Open up your notebook, guys. A busy day tomorrow, no doubt, or tonight.
Yeah, tonight, one of the biggest stories in the NFL right now is going to play out. Marshawn Lynch, beast mode, back with Seattle. And, Rich, this was the biggest news earlier in the week, but it did not start on Monday when, of course, we learned the Seahawks were going to lose their entire backfield. It actually started in early December when Marshawn Lynch took a very secret visit to Seattle, thought there was a chance they might sign him, and started working out like crazy. He is ready to go, Mike, I'm told. He had a good week of practice, expected to get about 10 or 15 snaps today. Is going to be used in all of the key situations.
Ian, Pat Shurmur already in the building here at MetLife Stadium for the last time as Giants head coach. I would say, based on the conversations that I have had with sources with knowledge of the Giants, thinking that, yes, that is going to be the case. Now, he does have one more chance to make an impression on ownership here today against the Eagles, a team that they have been chasing the last couple of years here. I'm not sure that it's going to matter here. I believe that Shurmur will be done as the Giants coach as soon as tomorrow. As for general manager Dave Gettleman, Ian, I'm not hearing a whole lot that leads me to believe that he is going to be dismissed.
I would agree with that, Mike. And a couple other things we have been watching earlier this morning and now this afternoon. Several teams are resting starters today. First of all, the Minnesota Vikings locked in as the 6th seed are not going to play a lot of their key guys, including Kirk Cousins. All of these skill guys, it seems, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, Stephon Diggs, Thielen, none of those guys, it seems, are set to play. Similar situation For the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson, not the starting quarterback today. That's expected to be A.J. McCarron. And then the Bills are sitting a ton of their big-time starters. Say nothing to gain for Bills, Mike, locked in as the 5.
Ian, we know today likely Jason Garrett's final game as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, barring some miraculous playoff run here. But as much as people talk about Jerry Jones being the guy that makes all the decisions in the Cowboys building, he has actually sought the advice of some key players.